So I'm going to start with a little bit more of an intro on me and Lucid, and then I'll go into some other stuff. Oh boy. So a little bit about me. I'm from California, Colorado, and Arizona. I went to BYU, graduated a year and a half, 2 years ago, I guess now. From there in the computer science program, and so I've been at Lucid Software for a little over 2 years. I was there as an intern, and part-time. I've been there full-time almost 2 years now. So what is Lucid? Lucid's a company that I work for. Founded in 2010 by Ben Delton and Carl's son. We are in South Jordan. We have 2 products, Lucid Charters and Press. Yikes. Sorry about that. And we mostly do TypeScript, Angular front end, and a Scala back end. And we are all about visualizations, which is going to come in a little bit. And that is a little bit of background. I think it's important to understand my background at Lucid, because this visual background actually is what led me into building the specific VS Code extension that I did. And so, sorry about that. I'm not sure if I can change something to make that not happen before. But, so what am I going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about building a VS Code extension. I'll tell you a little bit about the story of the VS Code extension that I built at a recent hackathon. And then I will give you a demo of that and kind of show you what it does so you can have some context. And then I will go into some of the specifics. Then I'll go into some of the specifics about what we actually did, what we learned, and some things that you can then use if you'd like to build a VS Code extension yourself. Okay, so the problem that kind of got me thinking about the extension that I wanted to write was thinking about code, right? And it's a very text-based, by nature it's very text-based, right? We have to write the code in text. However, the code represents a deeper underlying complex relationship between objects and classes and functions. And it's very hard to understand and capture these complex relationships with the text. And it's hard to capture them, to understand them, and for our human brains to kind of make sense of them. And so I thought, well, there should be some solution for this to make that easier. The solution that I thought of was, let's make it more visual. Let's make coding more visual so that you can understand these complex relationships in a non-textual way. So before our hackathon, or the hackathon that I competed in, I kind of came up with a rough framework of what I thought I'd want to do. I decided VS Code, mostly because that's the IDE I use the most. And it's also kind of perfect because it has a fantastic extension system. And then I would need a language server, which not every extension needs, but mine would, a way to analyze the code and come up with these complex relationships. And then, of course, I need some way to visualize that, and for me, I had access to Lucid Chart. So that's what I ended up using. So let me tell you a little bit about the hackathon. So Lucid does a hackathon every year. It's kind of a fun break from the normal grind, and it's 52 hours long from Wednesday morning to kind of Friday afternoon. And the entire product development organization pauses, and we get to work on whatever we want with whoever we want for those 2 days. So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great projects that come from it, and sometimes people sleep, sometimes people don't, but at the end, we get a ton of great projects, and it's a ton of fun. So what I did is I got a team together for this and decided to build this vision during this hackathon, kind of the best time to come together and kind of do a side project in a dedicated time to work on it. So it was great. It was a lot of fun. My team came together. We had 6 engineers working on it, and we got this extension written and kind of working in a demoable state. But it wasn't usable really yet. And so what was fantastic is we got support from our leadership team. They liked the idea of it, and they thought it would be something valuable for us to use internally. Just yell. Perfect. Okay. I'm just going to yell until the mic comes back on. Sorry when it surprises you and comes back on unexpectedly. So, there you go. Okay. So then after the hackathon, we decided that this was something valuable that we wanted to make usable internally. And so I got the go-ahead from the leadership team to take 1 sprint of my team's time to finish developing this, but finish it enough that we could use it internally. And that's kind of the state that we're currently in. And now we can use it internally, and it's going really well. And luckily, again, I'll talk about this more a little bit later, but VS Code's extension system makes developing something like this very easy, and it's very easy to distribute it and use it without necessarily needing to publish it. So let's go into a little bit of a demo. I just want to kind of show you what we built. I'm hoping that I can actually demo it to you live, if not, I have screenshots, so I am prepared. So I'm actually just in the Angular code base, which is kind of fun, and so I'll use that to demo some things. So we built 3 additional features into the right-click menu in VS Code. You can see them right here. One of them is this class hierarchy, which I'm showing here on the right, where it shows you the class that you selected, and then it kind of follows up the inheritance tree, right? So then I can select the ones that it inherits, classes it inherits from or extends, and so on and so forth. How we doing? There's something. Yeah. Okay. So we can see then the different classes, and it allows you to click through and navigate these. These are all in the same file, but if they were in different files, we could then navigate to those other files. So that's one thing, is this class hierarchy. The other thing that we can do, visualize, is constructor dependencies. So let's go to app component. Okay, so if we come here to the app component, we say show constructor dependencies. It's going to think for a little bit, and then it spits us out this beautiful guy where we see up here the actual class for the app component itself, and we see that it has 8, which we can also see down here in the constructor, and then each of these we can click on and navigate and go and find where they are defined. So this allows us to see them, and also there we can see here the navigation service. Has 2 things in its constructor, and we can follow those as well, and navigate back and forth without ever losing the context of what the initial thing that we were interested in at the beginning. And then the last one that we added was visualizing reference graphs. So let's go to the location service and find set search, show reference graph. So what this one shows us is the set search function. Hopefully you're familiar, most IDEs have this find all references. What we do is find all references recursively. So set search itself is called in these 3 places, in a test file, in the API list, and in the contributor list. And then each of those functions we can then see is called once up here, which is called then 3 times up here, and we can now navigate the code base and these references recursively, again, without ever losing context of the initial function that we were interested in the first place. So these are the 3 functions that we added, the new additional features that we added to VS Code with our extension that allow you to, like I said, visualize and navigate your code base. And so now kind of you have the reference of what we built, what it does, kind of the high-level picture. I'm going to go a little bit more into some of the details about some of the specifics of what we did, so that you can kind of understand how you could do some similar things. So luckily, like I said, VS Code's extension system is fantastic. It was crazy easy to use, and we were super impressed with it. All you really have to do to get started is this, right? So you install the Yo and generator code, and you run Yo code, and now you have a new folder with a Hello World extension. You can choose if you want TypeScript, JavaScript for the full extensions, but they also support other kinds of extensions. You can make a new color theme, you can do language support, you can do code snippets, there's all sorts of stuff. We did just a TypeScript extension, so we selected that first one, and voila, you have a quick Hello World extension right away that you can then go and start developing in. So one of the first things that we wanted to do was add these menu commands. As you saw, you can kind of see it up there in the right-hand corner again. In the right-click menu, we added 3 options: the show reference graph, show constructor dependencies, and show class hierarchy. These are pretty easy to add. It was awesome. So over here on the left,
Yeah, you can see my mouse. Good. So over here on the left, this is part of the package.json for this extension. And it has a command section and a menu section, and kind of, hopefully you can read what I've blown out over here on the other side. So you basically just establish commands that you want to run, and these commands can be run from at least two locations. One would be the command palette, so that is Control-Shift-P up here, which a lot of IDEs have, right, where you can run commands in the editor. And so you can run these commands from there, or you can attach to them from the right-click menu. We decided not to do the command palette and instead do the right-click menu, so that's what we have right here, where we need to set up the command palette, set it to false. I think by default it's true, and so we kind of wanted to get rid of that. And then down here we have set up the command for the right-click menu options. And so this command string right here is what ties these all together. And this right here, the grouping, is actually what lets us decide where we want to show them. So you can put them in some of the pre-built menus, or you can, like we did, make your own menu so that it's kind of separated out from everything else. It's also nice because right here, there's a when clause. So we only want to show this when the editor has focus and when the language of the open window is TypeScript. So there's lots more that you can do there if you want to show at different times, different places. And then, so this is all just in the package.json, and then down here, this little snippet at the bottom is what we actually put in the extension. So this is what allows us to say when this command is run this function, right? So show class hierarchy over here, show reference graph, show constructor depths. These are all functions that we define later on in the file, and those are what are called when the command is run. So another thing that we wanted to do, as you can see, we have arbitrary, we just have HTML there, and that was another thing that VS Code makes very easy to do that we were really impressed with, is we can just define whatever HTML we want and put it in that window. So over here, hopefully you can read this again. You can just get this web view content, and we use some stuff up here to kind of condense this down and make it more readable, but the gist of it is all you do is return a string. This string has the HTML tag, the head tag, the body tag, and then everything inside that we want it. And then over here, this is actually in our extension. When we decide that we want to show this, we do vscode.window.createWebViewPanel, give it some information about where to put it, if we want to have scripts in it for CSP security stuff. And then you can set up different things like receiving messages from it, when it closes, and then this is the important part right here, viewpanel.webview.html equals get webview content, right? And so that's where we call into this function. We get the string of the HTML content, give it to it, it sets up this iframe, and passes in the content of the iframe in the URL itself. So then you want to communicate between the extension and the HTML file that you've created, right? It's just a string that you've passed in, so there's no closure to use the variables in that file or any of the functions, so you need to set up a listening system. And this is the system that they've set up for you. It's pretty much the exact same, or an abstraction around the post message interface that is by default in browsers for communicating between windows and from windows to iframes. So it looks very similar. Up here on the top left, you can see this is how the extension listens to messages from the HTML. And so all it says is viewpanel.webview.onDidReceiveMessage, right? Then it gets the message, and then it can act on it. If the extension wants to send information to the HTML, then we can just call viewpanel.webview.postMessage. Likewise, we set up a message listener on the HTML side if we want to listen to those messages, and then when we want to talk, we can do vscode.postMessage, and that's how we send information from the HTML back to the extension. Then debugging is very easy. Again, something we were very impressed with. You just open up that folder, your extension folder in VS Code, and it recognizes, based on the package.json, that there's an extension inside this folder, defined in this folder, and so you can go to this debug tab and click run, and it'll open up a new window for you that you can open up to any folder elsewhere that you want, and it kind of gives you a little hint. It says extension development host up there, so you can kind of keep the two of them separated. And then this allows you to test your extension, because your extension will be active in this development window, which is awesome. And then if you want to use it, right, and you want to package it up, start giving it to people, which is what we've done to allow for internal development. We've packaged it up, and when you package it, all you have to do is this command. You just npm install the VSCE package from that folder, and that gets you a VSIX file. It's .vsix. It's just kind of the packaged up version of the extension. And then all you do is go to VS Code, and anybody can do this, right? You go to VS Code and you run install from VSIX. You select the file, it's in, you reload, and now your extension is live and working in that window. So this is, again, how we have allowed this to be used internally at Lucid. No, the other developers don't have to run it from debug mode. We've published this VSIX package, given it to them, and everybody can just install this and use it without needing to publish it online or run it in debug mode. And again, very easy, very straightforward. We were really impressed with VS Code. So what's the future, right? What's it look like? Hopefully for you, you can go build an extension. They've got amazing API documentation. It's very extensive, and you can do a lot of cool stuff for yourself. For others, you can publish it. It's great. For our extension, it's something that we've been really happy about. We're hoping, like I said, it's internal right now. We're hoping that that we could make it publicly available soon. We're looking at what that would take. If you would like to be updated on the progress of that, we have a form right here, just tiny URL, UtahJS 18 Lucid code. If you would like to receive updates on this extension that we're building, or if you can even let us know if you'd like to see it supported for different languages. We're trying to investigate now to see what's the most useful. Let's see. Then here's some resources. You can obviously Google a lot of this too, and it'll just pop up for you. But these are the VS Code. This is the VS Code extension website. There's just kind of the overview, the Hello World example, and then the entire API. So that's all that I have prepared for you today. Hopefully that gives you some context for going and building your own. Are there any questions about this?
Do you have to have Lucid Chart to use that extension?
That is a fantastic question. No, you do not. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So the question was, do you need Lucid Chart to use the extension? Like I said, it is powered by Lucid Chart. It is using Lucid Chart's Canvas system, but we've packaged it all up into the extension itself so that it's standalone, does not require a license or anything like that. Great question. Another question over here.
Is this only work for TypeScript, or does it work for JavaScript as well?
Great question. So currently it only works for TypeScript. We've thought about doing it for JavaScript as well. We only use TypeScript, so we haven't had a lot of motivation yet to look into JavaScript. I think that it would definitely be possible, and the way that we've abstracted away the language piece in a way that we could plug in other languages. JavaScript is kind of a funny one. We haven't tested it, but because JavaScript is all TypeScript, there's a chance that the TypeScript server could parse it well, and we would actually just need to say, use this for TypeScript and JavaScript. But we haven't done it yet, but I think it'd be really easy for us to do. Okay, let's do one more question, then we'll wrap up.
I was just curious, have you guys considered making this open source so that people can contribute the other languages?
Great question, love it. We have considered it. Haven't decided yet if it's going to be worth it for us. But I think it'd be awesome because then we wouldn't have to we wouldn't have to do ourselves. We ourselves wouldn't have to do each language that we wanted to support. So I think it's a fantastic idea, especially, like I said, we have tried to abstract away the language piece, so if we can make that a clean abstraction, then it makes it really easy to develop new support for new languages. So great question. Okay, thank you again for letting me come here and speak to you. Good luck with the extensions you write.